Rule 22, how play is resumed. This rule is a little long, and we're going to go ahead and go through it anyway, just so you know. But basically, the play is going to be resumed by either the umpire having a throw-in, or a player from one of the teams having a free shot, whether it's a penalty or a knock-in or whatever. So it's either a throw-in or a player hits it. Those are the only two ways play is resumed. Now, with that being said, let's go through the specifics. Okay, ball crosses the end line and it is last hit by a defending player. If it goes in the goal, it counts for a goal for the attacking team. If it does not go in the goal and it crosses the end line, it's called a safety. And at the risk of being repetitive, a safety happens when the ball touches the mallet of the defending player and goes out. When the defending player hits the ball and it goes out, going out meaning going over the end line. When the defending player hits the ball and it hits his horse or the goalpost or the sideboards and then goes out without touching anything else, that's also a safety. And that's it. And then a safety is basically a shot for the attacking team from the 60-yard line, approximately where the ball crossed the end line, and never more than 40 yards from the center. So somewhere within 40 yards from the center at the 60-yard line, the attacking team will get a free hit. And the rules of that free hit we cover later, but it's basically the same as a penalty for. This is also the portion of the rule book that discusses offsides. Would have been nice if we just had a big separate rule that said offsides, but players get confused about offsides all the time. So basically, in this part of the rule book, offsides is this. It's only active on a dead ball situation, so a penalty 5 or knock-in. A penalty 4, 3, or 2, you're not going to have that. That's going to be a missed execution. It's not an offside situation. So let's say you have a penalty 5 or knock-in, and then of course the throw-in is also a dead ball situation. So under those three, in those three situations, if you're not lined up properly on a throw-in, then you'll be offsides. In other words, if you're not on your side of the field. If you're on the other side of the field where the other team is defending, you're offsides. And you need to pass one of your players before you can play the ball. If you don't, if you just go ahead and play the ball and you're offsides when you play the ball, that's a foul, and usually a hit for the other team from the spot. It could also be a hit from a penalty line if that's the situation. Okay, on a knock-in, let's just say the ball goes out and the defending team is going to knock in. And you decide, you're a member of the attacking team, and you decide to go change horses, and coincidentally, your horse that you're going to change to is at the trailers, which is behind the hitter. So you go change horses, and the umpire calls play, defending team knocks in, and you come running back onto the field behind the hitter. You are now offsides. So you cannot make a play on the ball until you pass one of your own teammates who was lined up properly, and then you're clear. This is really not that difficult a foul to call. It can be if we have a good third man who's paying attention and we're radioed in. We usually allow them to help us with this. Otherwise, we just keep an eye on who's changing horses, who's not, and where they are. But just remember that. If you're running back onto the field and you're inside the 30 when he hits it, you're inside the 30. You can't make a play on him until you either pass one of your players or, yeah, pretty much, you're still offsides. So in any case, if you're going to go change horses and you're behind the hitting team, it's your responsibility to get yourself back on sides, plain and simple. And that is basically offsides. Another way play is resumed is by the hitting of a foul shot. So let's say you have a foul and play stops, and then the umpire will set up the ball for a foul shot. Players can tee up the ball now without permission of the umpire. On any foul shot, you can tee up the ball. You cannot tee up the ball if you're given the ball from having it go out on the sidelines. That we just drop it and you go. There's no teeing it up because we never stop time. We don't want to waste time, and you only have 5 seconds from the umpire drops the ball to go ahead and hit it. Otherwise, it's delay of game. So that's not a foul shot. That's just a change of possession. Technically different. But with foul shots, when a hitter hits a foul shot, the play is resumed. And with all foul shots, you only get one approach. So hit it the first approach. If you do not hit it the first approach, for whatever reason, spot hit for the other team right there. End of story. For a knock-in, you will have 10 seconds to execute the knock-in after the umpire calls play. If you fail, it'll be a penalty for the other team. If a defending player on the knock-in is inside the 30-yard lines, it'll be a center hit for the team knocking in. If that player does not affect the play, we may let that go because we don't want to keep stopping the game. For a throw-in in the center of the field after a goal, you have 25 seconds to get there. Okay? If you're not there in 25 seconds, we will throw the ball in unless there's a good reason for you not to get there. Say, for example, you scored the goal and you took a big loop with your horse. The umpire has the discretion to blow the whistle and wait for you. And we will. Not a big deal. When you get awarded a free hit on a change of possession, when the umpire throws the ball down, it needs to land on level ground. Okay, we don't want it landing in a hole. So that's the rule for that. If a game is suspended, you have to continue that game at the earliest possible time, not the earliest convenient time. If the whistle sounds at the same time the ball goes to the goal, we'll generally count the goal. It depends on who fouled. Let's say you're going to goal and defender fouls you and you'd get a shot off before the whistle goes or simultaneously with the whistle or what have you, and the ball goes to the goal and it's either no foul or it is a foul on the defender, we'll just count the goal. That's it. It's just easier and saves time, and we have the discretion to do it, so we do it. And that's that part of the rule. If a ball breaks, I know we already went through this, but you may not be watching the video of the other rule, so we'll do it again. If a ball breaks on an initial hit from a dead ball, like a knock-in or a penalty shot, we do a re-hit. If a ball breaks at any other time on the field, we will blow the whistle and have a throw-in. If a chip flies off of a ball, you play the larger piece until you hear the whistle. If a ball goes out on the sidelines or sideboards, we will give possession of the ball to the team that did not touch it last. So, for example, you have a black team and a white team. Black player hits the ball, goes out on the sidelines. Where it goes out, we'll drop the ball about 5 yards in from the sidelines or sideboards, maybe a little more. Give them a little space. What we do is when the ball goes out, we'll count to 8. 1001, 1002, 1003, and so forth until we hit 8. And then we will toss the ball down, and it's in play for the team that did not touch it last. And you have 5 seconds, which is the ordinary delay of game rule, to go ahead and hit it. And you can do anything you want with it unless you're the attacking team and you're inside the 60-yard line. So if the defending team hits the ball out on the sidelines and you're given the ball and you're inside the 60 towards your goal, the umpire will bring the ball back to the 60-yard line right next to the sideboards, a few yards in, 5+ yards in from the sideboards. And he or she will drop the ball there after 8 seconds. And then you hit it from there. You have to hit it the first time. And your first shot needs to go 30 yards. Once that happens, it's live for everybody but you, the hitter. And then it's live for you as soon as it's played upon by anyone else. That's my understanding of that rule. What you need to know about this rule is this. Ball goes out and you're awarded the ball. Look at your umpire and say, can I tap it or do I have to hit it? And he'll say or she'll say, you can do whatever you want, which means it's like a penalty 5. Or he or she will say, you must hit it at least 30 yards the first time. So just hit it, hope it goes 30 yards, and you're done. And if it goes 30 yards, somebody's going to play it. It's going to happen, not an issue. The defending team on these dropped balls must be 30 yards away from the hitter. When that happens, we'll warn you. We don't have to warn you, but we do. If you're not, you affect the play, we'll blow the whistle and move it up. Simple as that. So always 30 yards from the hitter, okay? That's a real problem. So remember that. And that is pretty much it for the ball going out of the sidelines. Oh, if we can't tell who the ball touched last, and your horse counts. You and the horse are one. If we can't tell who touched it last, then we'll just throw it in. We'll do the best we can. Sometimes it can be difficult. It bounces off 2 or 3 horses' legs and it goes out. It's impossible. Even with instant replay, sometimes it's impossible. So in the cases like that, we'll just throw it in. But when we can tell, we'll drop it for the other team. Also, with the ball going out on the sidelines, if it hits the umpire or the umpire's horse and goes out, that's the only other case where we'll throw it in and not award it to either team because we don't have a team to award it to. So if it hits the umpire, we'll throw it in. I just mentioned earlier that when you're awarded a penalty shot, you can tee up the ball now without the umpire's permission. That's true, you can. What you cannot do is you can't get off to tee up the ball. You have to stay on your horse, and you cannot alter the playing surface. So you can't slam your mallet down to try to make a little divot. If you start doing that, you're risking the umpire giving a free shot to the other team. So be mindful of that. Just tee it up as best you can. Some fields there are no teeing it up. Some fields have a great spots you can tee it up, so that's up to you. Oftentimes, if players don't tee it up, I'll tee it up for them quickly because the better shot they hit, the easier our job is. I usually do it equally for both teams. We never have any favorites out there. We really don't care, but we would like you to tee it up because if you hit a bad shot, it's more likely that we're going to be engaged in the play more than we want to be. So that's the new rule on that. Your throw-ins will usually be from the center to the boards, and that's determined by which side of the field the play was on when the whistle sounded. We'll determine that. You have to worry about it, but it's usually center to boards unless it's a throw-in for the ball going out and we can't tell who touched it last. That will be from the boards to the center. And then if a game gets suspended for rain or darkness or any other reason, if it's a legitimate reason and the game is suspended, when the game is resumed the next day, 2 weeks later, whatever, it's resumed at the point at which the previous game left off. So it's the same game. Let's just say it starts raining really hard and we were going to do a throw-in at the 30-yard line-ish. When it's resumed, we're going to do a throw-in at the 30-yard line-ish. It's the same as if you just gone off to change for a chucker or something like that. We pick up where we left off. That's all you need to know about that. So a note to umpires and score sheet keepers rather. If a game is suspended, write down on the score sheet what the last play was so it can be resumed at that point.